Fight with Jermell Charlo. What's this fight mean to your career? What do you assess him as an opponent?
I mean, I didn't know much of Charlo until I got the call about this fight, and so we did our homework, which we always do. He's a good fighter. He's fundamentally sound. The kick and fight, and they're looking at it. He's 22 years old. Well, we're gonna get Harry Joe Yorgey. He's 25-1, 35 years old. Listen, I'm a young 35 man. I can fight. But this kid, like I just told these guys, this is probably going to be the fight of the night on the show. I mean, he's up-and-coming fighter. He's very hungry, I'm very hungry. I was number 3 in the world till I lost, so, he wants to be where I was at, and I want to be right back where I was at. So as a fan, I would want to see that fight immediately.
Does this give you kind of the same feeling of when you upset, Ronald Hearns? It was like you pulled off that victory?
Well, it's just, look, he's with, Golden Boy, and he's got a nice record, but I'm the experienced one in the ring, you know what I mean? If he beats me, it's an upset. That's just how I look at every fight I fight. I mean, I got a job to do, win fights. I'm not 25-1 for nothing,
Have you had a chance to, in the short time you've known about fighting him, to study him at all? Or, I mean, what stands out about him?
I don't really watch films that much. My trainer does. Okay. I'll maybe watch like a minute or two of them. You can't change what you got to do in the ring.
Yeah.
You got to make adjustments that night. I don't care how many films you watch. But what I noticed of him, he's got good legs. Like I said, he's very sound. He moves good in the ring. And everybody has holes. Everybody has holes. And I expect to exploit his holes that night.
And you mentioned your one loss, the tough loss to Alfredo Angulo. Was that hard to kind of bounce back mentally from that?
No, not really. I mean, listen, I never thought I would lose a fight in my life,
Yeah.
I lost. We were just talking about this in the hotel today. If I had lost a fight where I got embarrassed for 12 rounds, that would hurt. That would bother me a lot more. Listen, this is boxing. I don't know if you ever fought, but you get hit by a real fighter. Anybody can get knocked out at any time, and that's what this game is about. And that's what happened. I got caught with a shot, and so be it, But I didn't get embarrassed. You know what I mean? I'll fight Alfredo Angulo any day again. Believe me, I will.
Yeah.
I would rather have lost if I'm going to lose that way than any way. I belong in the ring. I'm the boss in this ring,
And I think I overheard you saying you had Gabriel Rosado as one of your sparring partners for.
When I got ready for Hearns,
really?
Gabe and I, we were through the amateurs together.
Yeah.
We get a lot of good boxing in Philly. I have Farad Enos, Derek Enos, Demetrius Hopkins. We use all those guys. We're all friends. We all help each other in the gym.
Yeah.
Keenan Collins, Elvin Alea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we have great sparring.
What did you think of his fight with Golovkin?
Kind of went the way I thought it would. I mean, listen, I don't think Rosado hurt himself at all in that fight. He went in there and fought hard. He was outgunned. He went up a weight class, which I admire him saying, I want to fight for the title. I don't want to be a catch weight. That's what a fighter does. And he fought him hard. I mean, he knew the kick could crack. Rosado actually landed shots on him. Gennady was surprised that he didn't knock Rosado out. If I was a promoter, I would have said to myself, you know what? I don't know if I want to put my kid in the ring with Rosado right now, Or maybe if I was a promoter, I'd say I want this kid back on TV. So I think he did good for himself, he lost.
Could you tell viewers a little bit about your upbringing in boxing, like where how you got into the sport and your history?
Yeah, my father got me into boxing when I was about 4 or 5 years old. We'd watch it all the time. We'd tape all the fights on TV. We critique him, he would teach me, and I turned amateur when I was about 9 or 10 years old, and it was in my blood ever since then, man. I stopped for a little bit for football. I was playing football at 30-some scholarships playing college, but this is what I went to St. Francis. I had a scholarship to Villanova, UMass, schools like that. Nothing real big, but I knew it's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in here in the ring. You always get an education, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So you grew up in Philadelphia then?
Right outside of Philadelphia. Yeah.
How did the Philadelphia fight scene kind of help mold you as a fighter?
Well, anybody thinks of Philadelphia, they say, wow, that's the fighting capital right there. And then you have the Rocky Balboa for the people that just watch TV. But no, you go to Philly, man, and you see hundreds of fighters that are great fighters, just never make it outside of Philadelphia. They stay in the gym and gym wars, you know, they don't get on TV. You know, you go through the city, you're molded. My whole amateur career was through the city. 5 years in a row, Golden Glove championships. You know, and it's just, it bred me to be where I'm at today, you know.
All right, man.